The bar I work in has 3 floors and a phone on each floor. To get an external line, you have to dial 9. If you want to call one of the other floors, you dial 21 for the cellar, 22 for the bar, or 23 for the kitchen. A call from outside the pub rings twice, like a normal phone, ring, ring, ring. An internal call is one slow ring, pause, slow ring. One night, it had been busy as hell, and I had end of the week accounting to do in the cellar. I sent the staff home after they'd cleaned up around half midnight. I got done at about 3 a.m., and I was on my way up the stairs when the phone rang. I was going through the door, so I wasn't really paying attention, and it was only when I got to the bar it dawned on me that it was an internal ring, the slow ring. I picked up the receiver, and I swear I could very faintly hear breathing. I hung up and realized that I'd have to go check the kitchen, as I'd just been downstairs and there clearly wasn't anyone in the bar. I got a broom and went upstairs. First, I checked the toilets just in case anyone was hiding out there, and then tried the kitchen. The door was locked. Practically shitting myself, I took out my keys, unlocked the door, and pushed it open. It was pitch black. I reached for the light switch and nothing. It was empty. No one but me was in the pub. I was pretty happy with that. It's happened maybe twice since I just pick up the phone and just say go fuck yourself and hang up now. But that first time was not fun. For a period of 6 months, we'd receive calls from an unknown caller almost daily, and usually a couple of times throughout the day. The caller would have sounds like porn in the background playing for the duration of the call, and never said anything. The calls would take place usually in the afternoon, and occasionally at 4 o'clock in the morning. Threats didn't help relent their harassment, so there wasn't much we can do besides hang up. One day, I picked up and listened for a bit, which I suppose was unusual behavior from my end. The moaning intensified, and then I could hear a chuckle. I slowly asked the caller, "What is it that you want? Are you lonely?" They immediately hung up and never called back again. Throughout the summer, after 2nd grade, I received a handful of calls at home from a man. Each time he called, it would be in the daytime when no one was home except for me. I would answer, and he would do this creepy laugh. Then he would describe what I was wearing and what he would like to do to me. On the last call I answered from him, he deviated from routine. He called at night. My parents weren't home, but my brother sure was. As the creeper went through his usual routine, I motioned to my brother to take the phone. My brother, thinking it was a telemarketer, wouldn't take it. I made the mistake of speaking out loud to my brother, telling him there was a bad man on the phone. The caller hung up. My brother heard nothing. As a kid, I was pretty shaken up. I would lock all the doors, isolate myself in the living room, and lower the window blinds whenever I was left alone at home. I never let go of the adult's hand whenever we went out. I never told anyone in my family what happened, and I refused to pick up the phone for a while. During my junior or senior year of high school, my family went out of town for a weekend, and I was supposed to stay at a friend's house. On that Saturday night, a group of friends and I, knowing that I had an empty house, went there to smoke and pregame for a party that we were going to. We were hanging out in my kitchen when I got a call on my cell phone from my home phone number. Thinking it was one of my friends fucking with me, I glanced around the kitchen, but they were all sitting, just talking and drinking beers. "Hello?" I answered, but I got no response, and the call ended a few seconds later. Confused, I explained what happened to my friends, and we all agreed that it was strange. But one of them started to freak out a little bit, suggesting that there was a murderer upstairs and that we needed to leave. The rest of us tried calming him down, and we decided to search the upstairs of my house. We grabbed hockey sticks and baseball bats from my garage and looked in every room but didn't find anything. We explained to our friend that was freaking out that nobody else was there and it was just a fluke thing. We started drinking and smoking again, and everything seemed normal until my cell phone started to ring. Again, it was from my home phone number, and I showed it to my friends. They went quiet, and I hit the answer key and put it on speaker. The line was silent for about 10 seconds, and then the call ended. At that point, we basically said, "Fuck this," and we all piled into my car and left. As we were driving through my neighborhood, my phone started to ring again, and it was my home phone number. I didn't answer this time though, and I just kept driving. I still don't have an explanation for those calls, but it still kind of freaks me out to this day. I suppose there really could have been someone in my house. We didn't exactly look very hard, and we never searched the basement at all. Realistically though, it was probably just my phone fucking up and redialing my cell phone on its own. But who knows? It was about 2 a.m. I was sleeping in the lounge room when my phone rang. It was a call from an unknown number. I answered, and for a few seconds, all I could hear was static and a quiet whispering in the background until a man's voice came over the phone and said my name. I asked, "Who is this?" But they just kept repeating my name, so I hung up. A few minutes later, just as I was about to fall asleep again, my phone rings. Once again, it was an unknown number, and I answered. I heard the same static from before, but there were no voices in the background this time. For a few seconds, I'm just listening to the static until I hear my name again from the same voice. I asked who it was, but there was no reply. I could hear them breathing on the other end, so I hung up again. A few minutes after the last call, my phone rings again. It's the unknown number. I let it ring until they hang up. The same thing happened 4 more times. They would ring, I wouldn't answer. They called one last time, and I answered the phone. "Who is this?" The same voice said,
"It's Tim. Come play."
I knew one boy by that name, but I knew for sure that it wasn't him. I got off the couch and went to my front door. There was nobody outside, and I never heard from them again.